Hey, Steve Brownstein, you're muted.
I'm unmuted.
How you doing, my friend?
How are you?
All right.
Yeah, yeah. What's going on?
Just taking care of business.
Crazy world, my friend.
By the way, everyone can hear you right now.
That's okay.
Hi, everyone.
Um, I'm like, what was the name of that the Colorado senator who ran for president? Said, "Follow me," and they followed him on the boat with
Gary Hart.
Gary Hart. Right. I'm not Gary Hart.
No monkey business.
That's right. Monkey business. That's right. Great moment in American politics. Follow me. Well, we did.
All right, I'm going on mute.
Me too.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
When I first came to IND 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 7 o'clock, I'd be afraid to be late. Things have changed. Everything's changing. Yes. They'll come, right?
People on Zoom. So we'll get started in like about 5 minutes or so. Uh, okay, I guess we'll get started then. Welcome everyone to the, hey, yeah, all good. Welcome everyone to the May general meeting of the Independent Neighborhood Democrats. I am Seamus Campbell. I am the president. Just a few things to get before we get have my notes here. Independent Neighborhood Democrats welcomes debate and discussion on topics of concern to the members of the community by candidates for office and others. IND believes in the right to free political speech, but believes that strongly that personal attacks, profanity, intimidating or threatening gestures or words, attempts to silence speakers, or similarly inappropriate behaviors aren't acceptable. Individuals engaging in such behavior will be asked to leave. Okay. So before we get started, let's want to see if there's any elected officials. Well, we have one in the front. Does she want to speak right now? Okay. Trying to get Lady go first for changing. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I do know that also some of our members are at a fundraiser right now for one of our endorsed candidates, Senator Andrew Gennardis. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Likewise, I couldn't have been in both places at the same time, and I'm one of the hosts. So, sorry. I donated though. So in that case, since I don't see any sorry. I'm counting minus like myself and then like the computer, it's 12. So yeah. Actually no. 13. No, I take that back. So it's now 16, 15. Because I know some people are doubles. Actually one's a triple because it's our former president, Alyssa Meyer, who, as she just said, I'm here with Solly. I don't know if he counts. He most certainly counts. Okay. So since I don't see anyone, any representatives or other elected officials here, I'm just going to hand the floor over to Laura Brickner and Mabel. Sorry, I didn't catch your last name. Cho from New Yorkers for Equal Rights. As most people know, on this November on the back of our ballot, well, assuming that the Republicans don't get their way, we'll be voting on an amendment to the state constitution. They'll be enshrining equal rights for a plethora of items. IND's already endorsed the matter, and I'll just let them speak on it. I'll switch it over and I'll switch. Actually, make this the presentation. Yeah. Oh. Oops. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We have a microphone.
Everyone, I'm Nora Bruckner. Nice to be back. Until recently, I worked for Councilmember Hanif, so now you're seeing me in a new role. I'm one of the campaign directors for the New York ERA campaign. I'm the incredible campaign director for NYCLU, and who I will allow to introduce herself in a moment. This is a brief presentation. There's many components of this campaign. Can you hear me? This is like cutting in.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this way. Got it. Oh, understood. Got it. Great. There are many components to this campaign. So we have a brief presentation, also thinking that there would be elected speaking and didn't want to take up a huge amount of your time. So wanted to really hear from you after Mabel is done, which components of this you'd like us to come back and present to more. We can do presentations on polling, presentations on the field plan, the communications plan, any aspect, and would love to hear from you what you all would like to learn about. And then we will come back and go into more detail about any or all of those topics. So with that, I will pass it to Mabel and she'll introduce herself and do the
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Mabel Cho. I work with Nora at the New York Civil Liberties Union. We're running the ERA campaign from the Night Glue. Thank you for being with us. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, a minute. Okay, I got it. So what is the New York Equal Rights Amendment? The New York Equal Rights Amendment will be on the ballot this November. It is an amendment to protect and preserve the rights and reproductive freedoms of all New Yorkers. No New Yorker should be discriminated against by the government because of who we are, what we look like, who we love, whether we have a disability, and whether we have an abortion. So this amendment will add explicit.
Rose, I'll try the other numbers. Bridget, I'd love to attend this thing from Peconic Bay next week. I can pick you up if that eases.
Sorry, can you mute yourself, please?
Not necessarily all that compatible. So if you want me to pick you up, just let me know and I will call you.
And this is
Bye.
my too, so.
Hi, Mom. So as I was saying, the New York State Equal Rights Amendment is an amendment to our New York State Constitution that will add explicit protections for people who experience discrimination. So at this time, as we are seeing this national trend to roll back abortion rights, reproductive health, and attack on our trans youth, this proposal will add very clear protections in our state constitution. So the last time our New York State Constitution equality provision had protected bases, this was added in 1938, and it only included race and religion. So this time we want to include other protected categories and communities that were left out. So this is not just abortion on the ballot. This is also explicit discrimination protections against one's national origin, ethnicity, age, disability, and sex. Sex defined as sexual orientation, gender, gender expression, gender identity, but also explicitly sex discrimination defined as access to abortion, reproductive rights, healthcare, reproductive healthcare, pregnancy outcomes, and explicitly abortion. So as I was mentioning, these are not in our Constitution right now. So this is long overdue. As we saw nationally, when Roe v. Wade was overturned through the Dobbs decision, we saw many states roll back abortion access and abortion protections. So we want to pass this Equal Rights Amendment to show that New York is a leader nationally to protect and expand our protections in our state constitution. So this includes abortion access and other discrimination protections. So what is New Yorkers for Equal Rights? We are a ballot initiative committee. We have filed with the Board of Elections. We want to make clear that we are urging New Yorkers to vote yes this coming November. So because many of us are generally 501c3s, this time we have filed with the Board of Elections to show that we are urging all New Yorkers to come out and vote. And we are comprised of a broad and diverse coalition. These are some of the groups that make up the coalition in this ballot initiative committee. Many of us engage in reproductive rights work, immigrant rights, gender justice. This also includes the New York State Teachers Union, 1199, and there are 11 steering committee members. But we are also made up of a broader coalition that can engage in campaign activities. But these are the 11 executive committee voting members who make decisions about the direction of the campaign. So why are we doing this? As many of you know, ballot initiatives are a really strong tool to strengthen democracy in our state and across the country. So New York is part of a national movement to use ballot initiatives to enshrine abortion and abortion access. So we have seen Ohio, Kentucky, Kansas, and I believe there are 9 other states engaged in ballot initiatives in this November 2024 election. So we are building this ballot initiative muscle in our state. We are building a brand new coalition. Many of us have not worked together before. And as you know, it can be very challenging to work in coalition, but we want to leave our state better than we found it by engaging this broad coalition so that we can continue to fight. This will not be the last ballot initiative. And we want to, because this is a special opportunity, this is our lifetime opportunity to not just enshrine abortion, but since we are opening up the Constitution, we don't do that often. And as you know, it took 2 legislative sessions to do this. We want to bring on other communities that have been excluded from our Constitution. So some of the frequently asked questions about our ballot initiative committee. So to comply with election laws, we can't coordinate with any elected officials that are running for office. So this means we can't coordinate with a political party that's endorsing a candidate. We can, however, provide voter education materials. We can talk about what's going to be on the ballot. But we just can't tell people who to vote for, but we can tell them to vote for this ballot initiative. And we can share information with you as our materials get developed.
One quick point about how that relates to you guys is you all can do whatever you want. This is about how we engage with you. So you guys can join our coalition. You guys have I've sent over the links for literally how you join the coalition. There's 200 plus groups who are in coalition with us. The list that Mabel had up earlier was our executive committee, which is 11 organizations that run the ship. But we would love for you all to join the coalition. We have other local Democratic clubs who have joined the coalition. You all can do postcarding events, phone banking events, door knocking events. You can pass a resolution. You all can do anything you want. We're just not allowed to endorse the candidates on your slate or do work in that direction. So you all should, happy to think through with you all now or later about the best ways for you all to plug into the campaign. I don't need to tell you guys how critical the area that you all cover is. We need every single North Brooklyn, Central Brooklyn person to come out and vote for this. We can't take this area for granted. So thinking through how you all are going to mobilize your base around this is key. So just wanted to make that very clear. The language around this is a little bit complicated. We're not allowed to coordinate with the Democratic Party, but you all are allowed to engage with us however you would like. And then please, not as a club, we have a $20 million budget. This is a massive effort. We would love to think through if folks here are interested in hosting a fundraiser or other ways of getting involved. We have a finance committee that you can sit on, and we'd be happy to connect you with our fundraising team. It's obviously a very packed cycle, and we need to make sure that the message to flip over your ballot and vote for this is being heard the same way that people are being told to vote for every other candidate in election on the ballot. I'm so happy to speak with you individually, or we have our business cards about how you all can plug in and be involved. I sort of just summarized the slide, but I'll say it again. You can join the campaign coalition. There's a document that I shared over before we came about how to do that. You can help us speak to New Yorkers across the state. And in a few weeks, we're launching a postcarding program. Starting in July, we're going to have a massive direct voter contact effort. We are hiring an organizing director currently, and then there will be several regional organizing directors underneath that person across the state. So this will be huge. Want to think through how you guys can help with phone banking, door knocking, et cetera. We're doing presentations and events like this all over the state. So if you're a part of another club, if you have everything from like a book club to you're a part of another Democratic club that you think would be good for us to come and speak to, please do that. I've shared the link for how to sign up to get a slot with us. We would love to do that with you as well. Happy to answer any questions. Yeah, go for it. There's been lots of polling. I should have said this before. So this is a brief presentation, but there are so many aspects of this that we would be happy to come back and speak to you guys about in general. We have done one basic survey so far that we did at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and then have spent most of the last couple of months actually going through the ballot process, which is a separate process that it took extensive polling that I'm happy to speak to. But we start off very high. We start off in the low 70s, which is excellent. However, the key is that as soon as folks hear 4 negative messages, it drops to just above 50%. And obviously, that's not the way that the world works. You don't hear 4 negative things in a vacuum. However, the support is shallow. So we need to make sure that we have the resources and the community support to make sure everyone is really able to hear our positive message in addition to the anti-choice, horrific, awful opposition messaging that we know they're going to be sharing with us. There's an opposition campaign. Am I not speaking in this the right way? Oh, we're good. Okay. There's an opposition campaign that has filed. We don't know how much money they're spending because their next filing isn't until July. They're using the same playbook that they did for the voting rights amendment a couple of years ago. So we expect it to be significant. They are not following the rules. They are very closely coordinating with the Conservative Party. They have a campaign manager who's from the November Group, which is a legitimate Republican consulting firm. And they have we think they have less money than us, but have so far very successfully used earned media. They have gotten the New York Post on their side. They've had several really disgusting op-eds. And we've been working to fight back against those attacks in earned, but it's there and we have to take it seriously. And I mean, not to dwell, but the court case is a perfect example of that. This is the exact same playbook that has been used in the country. They know that this is popular with the voters, so they're trying to use the court system to get their way.
Steve has a question on the Zoom.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I read recently that the ballot, that the initiative might not get on the ballot because there was a procedural error made allegedly by the Attorney General's office, which could result in this matter not being on the ballot. Can you address that?
Absolutely. Happy to address that. That is true that if last week a conservative judge in the suburbs of Rochester decided that this should not be on the ballot. It has already been appealed. The AG's office has already appealed. We are incredibly confident that this will be on the ballot and are moving full steam ahead. This is a outgoing Republican legislator who went venue shopping and found a Republican judge who was going to side in her favor. We have used the same process to get this passed as 18 other ballot initiatives over the last 50 years. This is a baseless, ridiculous Republican conservative nonsense, and we are fully confident this will be on the ballot.
Can I follow up?
Please.
By expanding the meaning of the definition of the wording of the amendment, do you think that possibly you may alienate some voters and maybe the perfect is getting in the way of the good?
Steve, could you repeat the question?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
By expanding the wording of the amendment, do you think that possibly that could result in alienating certain voters and basically what may happen is that the perfect may get in the way of the good? Did you consider that when you expanded the wording of the amendment?
So I did not write the amendment. This has been a 5-year process. I mean, I understand your point, but this was a 5-year process. I think Joanne can speak to this also from a legislator's perspective. The writing of this amendment and the text that passed through 2 legislative sessions was constructed with a broad coalitional support and thinking. As Mabel said, you don't very often get to open up the Constitution. And when you do that, you want to make sure you're adding in as many protected groups as possible. I think the other key point is with the overturning of Roe, we saw that this was not just about abortion. They're coming after everybody. So we need to make sure that we're protecting everybody as well. And New York is the beacon of proving that if it can happen here, it can happen everywhere. And we need to show that we are proud of having progressive values that will protect everyone.
Thank you. That's a great answer.
Alyssa, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I had the same question about the update on the court case, so thanks for covering that.
Of course.
Great.
I'm happy to come back and speak more as things develop. This is going to be happening over the next several months, so you will hear updates. I will say it again, this will be on the ballot in November. I promise it will be on the ballot in November.
Jonathan Kopp asks, what is their substantive opposition? Is this entirely reasonable initiative? So what is their substantive opposition? This entirely to this entirely reasonable initiative?
What is the opposition?
Yeah. Why are they opposing? Yeah.
I don't think there is substantive opposition. I think they would tell you that they don't believe. I mean, it's folks who don't believe in the right to abortion. It's folks who don't believe in other providing protections for age discrimination, for national origin, disability status. They can come up with a whole host of things. They're going to say they don't believe that gender identity is an important thing to be protected against. I don't believe those things. I don't think you guys believe those things. They do. I don't know if anyone saw Harrison Butker's speech, the guy from the Chiefs. There are people out there who believe that. We don't, and we're going to fight against that every day we can until November 5th.
Bridget?
I think that's something.
Yeah, hi. We have a summer home in a relatively conservative town, but they are having a civic association meeting, which is sort of like this little town hall type of thing, on June the 20th. So if you would like to forward to me some literature, I would be delighted to stand outside as people walk in and hand out your literature, if that would be helpful to you.
Absolutely. We will coordinate to get you anything you need. And we're also happy to send somebody. We have at NYCLU, we have regional organizers across the state. So we can coordinate and figure out if somebody can come and give a similar presentation there, or if there's another time for them to come to the presentation. You merch in the meantime.
With the presentation, I'd have to run that past the president, which I am more than willing to do. But as to the literature, I can certainly do that myself.
Absolutely.
So I will get back to you whether or not you need to send someone, if that would
Great.
be.
Seamus can share my information, mine and Mabel's information, and we'll make sure everybody gets I appreciate that offer. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. Hello, I
Hello.
have a question. Okay. So I see this process as similar to the vote in Ohio,
Yeah.
which passed and entered into the Ohio Constitution, which I think had the same basic objective as this, which is great as far as I'm concerned. Now, have you been in touch with other? Have you kept track of other movements throughout the country in different states, and where it is already passed and which are in process? And to that extent, is there any way you can work with them or gain from them or whatever?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming also when I say that, I'm assuming that given the litigation that you be out and that you having the political history that it has, I'm pretty optimistic about its success in New York. Never other states. Thank you.
Absolutely. Great question. So I think Ohio is a perfect example. They also tried to do this ridiculous nonsense with the courts in Ohio as well. They've also tried to do it in Kansas. So it's a great analogy for so many reasons. Yes, we have worked closely and been in contact with the campaign directors and staff at both for successful ballot initiatives that happened over the last 2 years. We're also in conversation with the current initiatives. And there are 2 that are going to be happening in Oregon and Minnesota that are going to be happening next year that are very similar ERAs. So they've been wanting to learn about what we think has gone well so far, what hasn't. So it's a broad network. This is what we're going to have to do, right? Every state needs to pass something like this. So we're trying to take the lessons and pass it on. I'll also say a lot of the consultants that we've brought onto the campaign are consultants who've worked on these past ballot initiatives and were critical in that effort and bringing success to Ohio, Kansas, and are able to take what they've learned and advise us on a very detailed basis, daily basis.
Elizabeth Adams asks, what support from IND members would be most helpful for the campaign right now?
That's a great question. I think we'd love for you all to join the coalition if that feels like something you can do. We have bi-weekly coalition meetings where we give frequent updates about the ways that folks can get involved. If anyone here is interested in participating in a fundraiser or being involved in the fundraising committee in some way, we would love to have that support as well. And then please stay engaged. I would sign up for the email updates on the website. We send emails multiple times a week with all the different ways that people can get engaged. And come July, we're going to be launching a very large scale effort. So be ready, phone bank, door knock, postcard, text, drive upstate, whatever suits your fancy, we will have the opportunity for you. So I would say get on all the email lists now, join the coalition if you're able, and you'll be, getting it on the ground level.
Just to follow up, because you sort of answered the question I was about to ask. So I'm guessing starting July is when the coalition's going to start with identifying voters that will be supporters and all that.
Yeah. So this might interest some of you. The process for what is actually going to be on the ballot, we are having to go through a plain language requirement, which was a bill that was passed in Albany a few years ago. We're the first ballot committee to ever have to go through this process. Which is just like a fun added to the list of fun new things that we're all having to figure out together. So that has been an extensive process over the last several months. We won't find out the final ballot language until the beginning of July. So we're not able to come up with our voter model until we have that language. So there's lots of less data-driven work that we can do, coming to speak to groups like you, continuing that outreach, but the specific voter contact, we don't want to do until we have the ballot language.
Question was, who makes that decision?
The ballot language decision, it's a combination of the Attorney General's office and the Board of Elections. There will be a public comment period. It gets released July 5th, and then there will be a 2-week public comment period, and we will happily come back and tell you if we think what they have proposed is good or bad, and would love for you all to vocalize your opinion when that public comment period time comes. Yeah.
So one thing I'm just wondering if we can learn from the census, and is there going to be any materials that we can use in schools or with children? I will just say from doing civic education work the last few months, these kids are really interested in all these topics. They speak about them all the time. And I think that would be something that would be really important when the kids go back to school in September, to have like some kind of educational component to this. So I'm just like naming that since you don't have all the stuff ready.
No, I appreciate that. We'll definitely think about it. I mean, the first thought that pops into my head is like, obviously they don't vote, right? And this is a political campaign where we need people to vote. But I think the educational component of them talking to their parents and then talking to their teachers is key, and thinking through the best way to have presentations in schools is really great, and love to talk to you about that more. Any other questions? Oh yeah, please.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
So just for everybody's sake, we went through a long process on this language. And some of the concerns were, of course, that if we made it too narrow, then we would be deliberately excluding, because if you do not mention something, then the courts will infer that there was an intent to exclude. So we were very careful about that. Plus, we were covering pregnancy outcomes as opposed to abortion per se, because pregnancy outcomes, as we're all learning through the situations that have come up around the country post-Dobbs, can be many, many things that can be very, very important and very deadly, and very damaging to people. So we, use that language as well. There are obviously, we can see where some of the opposition is going to be coming from. It will be the same playbook. They did the same lawsuit. It's in Livingston County. There are more cows than people in Livingston County. And it's deliberately decided to go to that county to set that kind of, lower court decision, but it's being appealed. There's no question. Nobody involved with any of this really has any doubt that it will be reversed on appeal. And if necessary, if it's not, they're going to go to the Court of Appeals. Very unlikely that the Court of Appeals is not going to support the validity of this amendment. And part of their argument will be that similar amendments have failed. Right? They beat back a lot of other amendments. We just went through this with the vote by mail, which again they brought to the third department to get the kind of result they wanted. But the third department said, guys, knock it off. This is not the same thing as you were. It was on the ballot a few years ago. The legislature can do this, not a problem. So whether they appeal or not, I don't know, but the Court of Appeals doesn't have to take the case, right? Because not as of right. So I suspect that we will know fairly soon, because it'll be expedited about this. But the biggest thing I think people were concerned about is whether or not there's disparate impact analysis, which was one of the reasons why we didn't do certain things in certain places. There's a lot of religious issues, for example, and religion is mentioned numerous places in the Constitution for constitutional rights. So they're not in this particular section, but they are in other sections. And that was a deliberate choice to not, because 3 sections is enough kind of thing, I think. But we went through a lot of this analysis and debate before we finalized the language of the statute. But my biggest concern is making sure that this doesn't get lost in the sauce with other things. And you guys have to be careful with regard to campaigns, but how elected officials can support this effort. Everybody has a very bad taste in their mouth as to what was not done 2 years ago, right? In the ballot initiative. So we want to make sure that the state party's involved, how we can help the state party get involved. The local Democratic Party, we're pretty active in the Brooklyn Democratic Party. No, I mentioned the Brooklyn Democratic Party and the microphone went off. So very interesting. Thank you for that analysis, Susanna. It's a sign. Hopefully not. But anyway, so that's a big issue. And it's just this microphone. The census was easier to do in school than I think this might be. But, also in public schools, you have a different standard. A lot of times, some of the private schools might be very supportive of doing civic education with their kids on this, unless, of course, it's a religious school, which may not. Right. But
absolutely. I really appreciate that broader context for everybody. Happy to speak to you aside about how we're doing elected engagement. I think the pregnancy outcomes piece is really essential. If we didn't focus on this before, the framing of Roe was never the ideal way to have abortion protections, right? It was never supposed to be about privacy. This is about sex discrimination, and this is doing that, and the country is watching. And if we are able to succeed in this, this will be the new framing of abortion protections in the country.
Any other questions? Anything from Zoom? Just checking. Okay, I guess that's everyone. Okay, thank you
Thank
so
Of
much.
course,
Oh.
thank you guys.
Seamus, is it too late to do a motion for the executive board to draft a resolution of support?
We've already done that. We did that last
Okay.
meeting. We support
Cool.
as a
I missed
resolution.
that. Awesome. Glad we're already in support, double support then.
Or, oh, okay. So Vicky is making a motion for us to join the coalition. It is the second. Okay, there is a second from Jason Shelley. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none. The motion passes. So we are now part of the coalition. So I'll be. Yeah. Of course. Okay. So awesome. And speaking also of resolutions, though, there was one resolution that came that was sent out to everyone in support of closing Rikers. I will note one thing. There's also a resolution regarding the street vendors project. However, the request of the sponsor that was moved to being voted on to next month because the sponsor wanted to be able to speak on it. And so the resolution was sent out to everyone in the email blasts. So it is on the table. Is there a motion to approve? The motion to approve the supporting closing Rikers, sorry. Yes. Okay, moved by Susanna. Is there a second? Second by Joanne. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? What? Yeah, I think those are from the ayes. It's basically, yeah. Okay, there's one nay from Irene. I'll say for the record. Any abstentions? Okay, opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Okay. Yes. So we do have in the room also one of our endorsed candidates, Norma Jean Jennings. Oh, hey. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to come up and speak for a second or? Yeah. Spoken like a true candidate.
No, mine is be quick. I just want to say thank you so much for all the work that everyone did, especially Hal, Art, and Ira, and Suzanne. And I went out with Joanne and Seamus, and petitioning. That's not an easy process. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your endorsement. This is my home club. I was part of IND before I became a housing court judge, and this will always be my club, and I will always come back when I can. And hopefully, I'll be back during the summer. I don't think you guys meet over the summer, right? Yeah, you don't. We'll have stuff to do, and we'll be out together, I'm sure. So I'm sure I'll see everyone around. So thank you so much again for everything. I really appreciate it. And the endorsement.
Oh, that was completely on me. This is what happens when you try to hydrate. I got it. Yeah. It's fine. Uh-oh. See, I got it.
That's not right, but okay.
I hope everyone on Zoom just saw how funny it is that we're dealing with the banner. We do have our assemblywoman who said that she didn't want to speak first, but would she be interested in speaking now? Yes. some updates from Albany.
So hi, guys. I'm sort of looking up at the people on the screen as well. So it's been a blast in Albany the last couple of weeks. And we have really, 3 weeks left of session. So we have next week, we're there 4 days, following week 3 because of Memorial Day, and then the following week 5. And this is because all of us basically just flaked out during the eclipse. And so the speaker told us we had to come back another day, which is fine, because one of the things that you find this time of year is that there's so many bills. And, you know, the Senate passes more bills in some, at least more that we're interested in some ways, because there's fewer of them. And so each senator ends up passing more bills, for example, than the assembly members, because we have so many more assembly members, right? We have 103 Democratic assembly members, and they only have 42 Democratic senators. So, you know, do the math, as they say. But also the houses have different questions about bills, different priorities sometimes. And so one of the big things we're dealing with now is the race to get things passed, to get things on the agendas of the various committees and to get them through. And then there's always something that comes up or is, you know, deemed to be an important issue. There are a couple of bills I'll have that are election bills that the State Board of Elections has really highlighted as needing to be passed. So we're hoping to do those things. Some of them are kind of technical bills, but but they're more recent vintage. A couple of things that I've been involved with more recently. This past week, we had a very big, well, it was last week, we had the first one. We had a big rally with Moms Demand Action, and we have a new Moms Demand Action member here who's an old Moms Demand Action member, but from a different state. So we're delighted she's moved here and is joining us tonight. So thank you very much for coming. And we have a package of bills, 2 of which are mine, one of which I share with Senator Gennardis, which is the school lockdown drill bill, where we're got a lot of support. We're trying to get to yes. There are a couple of little issues, people opposing in some ways that we're trying to neutralize. So we can get that bill passed. It will make a huge difference in the lives of our students. And we just did a press conference on that bill alone this week as well. Susanna was up for that. Last week, we also introduced a couple of bills that were gun bills. So this is the lockdown drill is related to gun violence, obviously. And one of those bills looks like could actually happen this year. It's again, a recent bill, but that is the one that I have with Senator Hoylman. And that would eliminate the ability for Glock pistols, semi-automatic pistols are made in a way that you can very easily affect the triggering of it, so that instead of being semi-automatic where you press right, you just press once and it would be an automatic weapon, like machine gun automatic weapon, like some like it hot automatic, machine gun weapon, which are illegal. Machine guns are illegal. They've been illegal since 1936. So, but this can be done. So one of the big challenges, of course, is that the other pistol manufacturers have not done this. Only Glock. Glock is the most popular gun in America. But also you can, with a 3D printer, make a little thing this size and make that Glock pistol into a machine gun. So we are taking this on and looking to make this change, because this is one little teeny change that we can make that make it impossible for you to sell or manufacture or make or distribute or utilize in any way a triggering mechanism that would make this a Glock a machine gun. We do know that there are issues that come from people being able to buy things in other states. This would make it illegal to have it and to, alter a gun to make it automatic, a machine gun. So that bill, I'm hopeful we will may be able to pass this year. They look to be moving in both houses. Fingers crossed. And then a couple of other bills that I'm working on. Also, again, we're trying to get the student loan forgiveness program expanded for law students, the lawyers who were in public service, because they have a tremendous amount of debt. They don't get paid as much. There is an existing program. It just needs to be expanded and better funded. Wasn't able to get that in the budget, although it was in both houses, one house budget. Didn't pass the final one, but we also think there's some things we'll be able to do towards the end of the session that will address some of the things that didn't happen in the budget that we know we need to continue to work on. And so I'm very hopeful that that will be the case as well. I'm not going to go through the litany of all my bills unless you somehow or other think I need to do that, Susanna. I don't think so. We have some wonderful bills. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that, it's 3 weeks to the end of session. I am in Albany a lot. I need your help. I'm running in a primary. We just got word this evening while I was sitting here that we've been cleared to get campaign finance funds, which we had a little bit of an issue with some technicalities in closing out the last campaign. So that's now been resolved, and we are eligible. We will be able to get campaign funds, but I won't be able to get them till May 29th. So my opponent has a 3-week head start with Megabucks. So we are doing mailing. Some of you got your mailing. Art got his mailing. Art and Nancy are on the mailing. So we're trying to, but a lot of people, thank you for participating. Those of you who did, we took photos of people at various places around the district. And some of them you will see people in our literature. We have another mailing going out and another one that we're working on now. That's a testimonial type piece. So we're working very hard, but we are also working hard to raise funds. Now, one of the things I want to clarify for those of you who may have been more generous, under the state's rules, the first 250 is the only if you're in district, you can only give 250 and have it match. If you give more money, it won't match. Any of it will match, unlike the city. If the city, they match the first 250 or the first 175, depending on what office you're running for, and then you can still get additional contributions. Not so with the state. So we have had to also send back money. So while we're sending back money, we don't have the matching funds yet because we're trying to undo when somebody gave me $260. We have to send them back the $10 because if we don't send them back the $10, then none of it counts. So that just, makes it a little more complicated, a little more work. We are going to have to maybe do that for a couple of other people right now. But excuse me. But we are raising funds. We're going to have a big event on June 9th in Carroll Gardens at the home of Dawn Carty and Ken Kinsler. And we are hoping to not only raise significant funds there, but also to start to get out the vote effort there, giving people literature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, signing people up. Art has a piece of paper over there. Art, wake up. Thank you. We can pass around for people who want to help volunteer, right? Because we just need help at subway stops, particularly this week, next week when I'm out of town. If people can hand out flyers at a subway stop. I brought some of the campaign literature. One of that is here. We can give people some campaign literature and we can make sure you get it. I'll be out tomorrow morning in Carroll Gardens. We will also be out this weekend campaigning. So if people have free time on the weekend, a couple of events that we'll be doing. And then Sunday is the Fifth Avenue Fair in Park Slope. Seamus is looking at me because he remembers the last time we were out there, it was so hot. I don't know whether it will be really hot on Sunday, but it's an afternoon fair from roughly, what is it, like 10 to 6 or 10 to 5. It is a place that you can meet people. So we will, IND doesn't normally have a table there, but basically for a candidate, you want to be walking around and meeting people and not stuck at a table. So I will certainly be there, and we're looking for people who might want to attend the fair, spend an hour or so with me campaigning, and then go about your day. So if you have any time, you can email me, or you email Susanna, spasquantonio@gmail.com. Do not send, that's right. Do not send it to the assembly email, please. And we can, again, can get you slotted in. It is. Exactly. Exactly. See, endorsement. Hadn't even planned on it. An endorsement. Felt hot to me. Maybe that was 2022. Yeah, you can pass it around if people want. Any other questions that people may have? You know, there's always questions about the assembly. I figured you would have a question. That's why I asked. Well, one is the military voters, right? There was a difference. Oh, what was some of the bills that the Board of Elections had? There was, because of, you know, they passed some law and then they pass another one, they don't reconcile, right? So we want to make sure that the military voters get the same amount of time to apply for an absentee ballot as other people, so that there's no different standard for that. The other, one of the other bills is you can, if somebody, for example, is not able to pick up their absentee ballot because they are incapacitated in some fashion, and they have a family member can pick up their absentee ballot, right? You can do that, but there have been some instances where people picked up a lot of people's absentee ballots. I don't know, but no, I'm just saying it. No, some instances, one of which the Queen's DA has brought felony charges against. So we're making the doing of that a felony. So thou shalt not alter somebody's ballot. Thou shalt not pick up ballots. Thou shalt not pick up more than 5, as opposed to 1,000. Whatever if they already have that exemption, right? They would continue to have, but doesn't undo that exemption. Well, if first of all, normally speaking, that person wouldn't be able to do it anyway, because they're not somebody allowed to pick up extra ballots for people supposed to be in a relationship, et cetera, et cetera. There's categories. So if a person is doing that because they're, you know, designated by Rikers for that purpose, that's already an exception. If that exception already exists, I'll double check it. But because there's a list, you know, we just added a section 10 to a law that already has 9 sections to it, right? So we'll double check that. But it's a good point. Thank you for raising it. What is happening with CUNY funding? What do you mean? We don't actually negotiate their contracts. So we gave a lot of money to CUNY this year for operating. We also gave them money that we anticipate would go towards salaries. But in terms of what the status of the negotiations are, we are not privy to those. You're welcome. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
And to the question about CUNY funding and the contracts, actually, this one I can speak to. Because I am an alternate delegate with PSC CUNY. So I've actually sat in on contract negotiations. So state basically provides the funds, and then, well, CUNY says to the state, and the city hears how much we need, goes from back and forth there. So right now we're still in contract negotiations with CUNY about funds for staff members that are under PSC. There's 3 different unions that represent staff worker or staff members. Biggest one is Professional Staff Congress, which represents most staff and faculty members. Basically, it's just been back and forth. There's a lot of stuff. It's all available on the PSC website on basically what they propose, what we propose, back and forth. And then I'll answer that 1 second, Greg. That's sort of connected with New Deal for CUNY. So they give a much better explanation on what's been happening there. I will say too, sorry, since I do believe you are a fellow PSC member, next Thursday, there is a delegate assembly meeting, which is open to all PSC members. I will be in attendance. So if you was to come with, let me know. And then Greg asked the question, do you mean New Deal for CUNY? That is related. And New Deal for CUNY, for those that do not know, is a proposal basically came out of PSC. And we have a bunch of partners in a coalition, but it's a huge influx of money for staff, faculty, this way we can actually have better wages.
No, I'm sorry, Seamus. I thought that's what Sari was referring to. That's all.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was asking, is that what she was referring to? But thank you. I appreciate it. I'm PSC as well, so maybe I'll join you.
Oh, okay, you and I chat after.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll just finish the point though. And then also it's more resources for students, especially coming off of COVID. There's a lot of students that need more support system, especially with counseling. COVID, the pandemic hit a lot of us pretty hard. And this is right now we are graduating the first class that came out of the pandemic. So, they didn't miss their first graduation. So we're hoping there won't be any sort of resurgence of anything in the next 2 weeks. But then also last sort of point with New Deal for CUNY is that most people know a lot of the physical infrastructure, a lot of the campuses is terrible, to say the least. And so it'd be a lot of infrastructure fixes to fix crumbling buildings, get rid of vermin. So yeah. Yeah. So so you're saying that the brats do run the city. Yeah. So just a few upcoming events. Joanne mentioned Fifth Avenue Fair is the 19th. So anyone has any questions, get in touch with Susanna or just email us and we'll connect everyone. There's also probably going to be some events happening this weekend. Anyone interested, probably be in touch. We'll help out. We have this on our calendar, which is available on our website and Google Calendar. On the 28th, Congressman Dan Goldman is holding a petition thank you party. So all people that gathered signatures for him, he wants to show his little appreciation with a little get together. I forget where it is, but it's on the Lower East Side. But it's all the information is on our website. It's the 28th at 5:30. Joanne mentioned on this 9th there is a fundraiser for her, and that's about it that I know of. Oh, and just one little note for anyone who's on Zoom or that I think everyone has their name in there, but if you don't, please just make sure you rename yourselves this way we know who you are for attendance purposes. Anyone watching on Zoom or on YouTube or not YouTube, Facebook, just leave a little comment in the next minute or two, so this way we know that you're here. Is there any other business? Any new business? Hearing none, the chair will entertain. Yeah. Nora just wanted to remind people that she is unopposed, but she will be trying to work with Joanne and all of us, while she still can. Any other business? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Move by Art. Is there a second? Second from Susanna. All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.